It's been just over a year since the release of Animal Crossing New Horizons, and as someone with over 250 hours on the game, I have a few things to say about it. For anyone unfamiliar with the games, Animal Crossing is a social simulation video game series developed by Nintendo. In the game, you get to form friendships with cute animal villagers while looking after the town you move into. It's an open-ended game, there's no plot set in place for anyone to follow, and it's often just described as a relaxing experience. Personally, I grew up with a certain love for video games due to my brothers playing them around me all the time, but as a child with very limited hand-eye coordination, not a lot of games were targeted towards me. Luckily, I was a fiend for one game in particular, Animal Crossing City Folk. The game came out when I was barely 3, and I forever thank my older brother for buying it because he introduced me to one of my favorite game series of all time. I used to spend hours on my Wii playing City Folk, and I bought a 3DS for the sole purpose of playing New Leaf. I never truly understood how to play the game until my late elementary years, and yet I still found myself endlessly entertained. So with my perpetual love for the series established, let's get into my thoughts about New Horizons and how it compares to its predecessors. New Horizons brings endless opportunities for customization. And although it's not the most memorable feature, character customization is the function I have the least problems with. What makes this so different from New Leaf or City Folk is the new variety of items, the clothing is trending, and they all come in a large range of colors. You can change your appearance from a mirror, cabinet, fridge, or whatever you have in your home, and from there you can change your hair, face, makeup, or your outfit. Where my problem with customization lies, and this might be controversial, but where I think one of New Horizons' biggest shortcomings is with island customization. While I think the addition of new tools was fun, it adds an objective to an objectiveless game. You need all the tools to progress, and I'm sure lots of people would find no problem working towards the ending, and I say that in quotes, of having KK Slider visit your island, but casual players could potentially see this problematic to have certain tools added just as a means of progression, because not a lot of them were fleshed out to be anything more than a milestone. I personally loved the idea of broad island customization, but when I actually got to use it in-game, I hated it. I found it impossible to build an island that I actually liked, and I've rebuilt at least 6 times. I find that it's incredibly hard to stick to one idea when the possibilities are so endless, and that to me makes island customization one of New Horizons' biggest flaws. Another huge problem with New Horizons is the deterioration of villager interaction and relationships compared to the previous games. Animal Crossing games have been lacking a lot of the charm the GameCube version had for a very long time. However, unlike New Leaf, where even though the villagers are kind to you from the very moment you move in, you still get to develop relationships and discover their personalities over time. In New Horizons, personalities are whittled down to type, and any type of villager speaks and acts the same as any other of that type, and it sucks. Designing your island to fit a certain theme and having a lot of the villagers in that aesthetic being the same personality type can ruin the fun of interacting with your villagers, causing you to ignore them for long periods of time. Obviously, in New Leaf this was not a problem because although there were less villagers, they all had their own dialogue and they were all individuals. This is one of the many aspects that make it really hard to compare New Horizons and New Leaf. What makes it so hard to say whether New Horizons lives up to New Leaf's reputation or not are the smaller details, because while some make the game that much more enjoyable, such as graphics and the detail put into the museum and the creatures displayed in said museum, or the special characters who visit during events, there's also one tiny specific little detail that almost completely ruins the game for me: the erasure of Brewster in his coffee shop. He's quite possibly the best character of the entire series, and they remove him and leave him with no legacy other than a poster. It's literally heartbreaking, and I can't understand why they would remove him, but I suspect it has something to do with the number of villagers available in the game. It's just another reason to hate the fact that they added so many more villagers. So, is New Horizons worth it? Yes, absolutely. It's a beautiful game. Do I think it's a better game than New Leaf? No. I'd say they're on a pretty even playing field as I find myself playing them both. Overall, I like New Horizons and everything it brings to the table, but I take the de-emphasization of villager personalities and loss of Brewster very personally, which is why I find it so easy to play both games. However, in reality, I think the real reason I cling so closely to New Leaf is because of the nostalgia I have linked to it. New Horizons is clearly a cleaner game with more variety, and I think if social simulations are your cup of tea, you should most definitely have it in your game library.